welcome to another episode of Planet Nerdtooine. I am your host, Nerdtooine. Thank you so much for joining us. We do a assorted comic book related content in here. We do reviews, talk about the news, as well as do interviews with great creators, which is what we're going to be doing today. Unfortunately, my co-host Year the Collector is not here with us. He has a lot going on and could not make the show, but that is okay because we're going to keep trudging on and do what we got to do. And without any further ado, let's bring on our guest, Jimmie, the creator of Artillery. How are we doing today, my friend?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you for having me on. This is really cool. Thanks.
Oh, it's listen, I'm a creator myself, so anytime I get someone to send a book to me or wants a review and I review it and really like it, my first thing is how do I get them on the show? Because especially as an indie creator, like I haven't reached out to any like the bigger names like Tiny Nerd stuff because of course I like his stuff, but like if it's someone, especially an independent creator, I feel like one thing that we all do is we all want to see all of us succeed. We
Right.
don't, there are very few indie creators, at least in my experience so far, that have been like gatekeeping or like trying to keep people out or trying to stop the spread of it. Most of the time, we're the other creators are like, oh my God, we got to tell everybody, let's do this. And that's something I love so much. And having this podcast, I feel like I have no choice. I have to help spread the word about great books that a lot of people don't know about. And speaking to your series or Artillery, one of the commentaries that you had in the book was that like the one of the main characters when they got into comics, they were basically told if you don't do superhero stuff, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And I love that so much because comics are so versatile. You can tell any story, any genre, any type, it doesn't matter. It can be done in comic book form. And a lot of people will just like, oh, you mean there are comic books besides the X-Men? X-Men are fine. There's nothing wrong with the X-Men. You like those? Great. But the indie comics are where some of the best stories are being told, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
stories like Artillery, like The Digger, like pretty much anything Invader Comics puts out. Mike Perkins, shout out to you. Thanks for hooking this up. Great book. Another great book you sent us. You keep just sending us great books. It's like,
Mm.
I got so many books to read. It's like, these are all amazing. How did you hit on all of them? But as I digress, so Jimmy, why don't you, for those of people who don't know your story, what got you into being a nerd and what got you into the comic book industry?
Oh wow. Yeah, I was doing comics and I didn't even know I was really doing comics. I just was making up stories and stuff, and I got in late, you know. A lot of people grew up with comics and I did not get to grow up with comics like some people did. So sometimes I go to conventions and people are talking about all this comic history and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't know. Yeah, I got in late, like in my 30s. That's when I really dove in. I mean, I was always, on the edge of comics. Always
Right.
had stuff here and there. I was reading, a few things, but not really into the true community of comics until I got in my 30s, and that's mostly because I'm a single parent and my daughter was just so young, to do comics, and you should know, uh, it just takes a lot of time.
Oh yeah.
and I didn't want to take that time away from my daughter's informative years, so it wasn't until she was, 11 or whatever, in the double digits that I got into it really seriously. Like, I'm gonna make my own comic, and all that stuff. I'm gonna get into comics, and that's kind of where it went. And I, you know, self-published. I didn't think my style would meet or match
Mm.
Marvel or DC's style at the time. They had a house style, and I kind of sucked, so I had to grow up in public. So I just kind of self-published my own book and got it going. And I was literally hand selling them directly to comic stores. And then a retailer said, "Dude, why don't you put this in Diamond?" That's back when Diamond and his
Right.
distributor
Oh
were
yeah.
around. And they were like, "Dude, why don't you put this in Diamond?" And I said, "What's a diamond?" And they were just like, "Come on, man." So like I said, I didn't really know I was making comics. I mean, I was making comics, but I was mostly skateboarding my life away and stuff like that. I was having a lot of fun and just being a single parent. That was a lot of responsibility right there. So um, that's kind of what got me in, and I just wanted to tell my own stories. I knew I couldn't
Yeah.
do Marvel DC stuff, and I wanted to. I had stories to tell. I could write and I could draw, so I was like, why not?
That so that I mean, it's a lot more work, obviously. So I don't want to take it the wrong way, but that must be such a luxury to be able to not only write it but draw it yourself. Like me, on for instance, I could write 1,000 scripts, but if I can't get someone to draw it well enough, all they are words on a paper. Like I can't, and I refuse to use AI because, and that's part that we'll talk about that. We get more into the book because that is a huge part of it. But it's, again, I understand it. Trust me, I know it's so much more work because you're responsible for everything, and that's a huge task to undertake.
Hmm.
But I'm glad that you did so, because at least with artillery, I felt this story. Like it feel like, to me, it's it feels like it could secretly be happening in our world,
Yeah,
like where there are like people fighting to save art because art is being under assault right now
yeah.
by AI, and because there's no regulations, no restrictions, it's just scraping whatever it can find anywhere to
Hmm.
make what art, their AI art. And it's gotta be, again, very daunting to have to do it all yourself, but at least you know that what you draw is the image that you had in your head, and not like what you wrote down and hope someone could deliver. Because
Well,
that's my issue with my book, is I'll write something and be like, oh god, I hope he understands what I mean. I hope he can get this
right.
drawn right. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, it's stressful.
Yeah, yeah. Don't cut yourself short, man. Writers are key. I mean, really. I mean, writers are just as key as the artists. And let me tell you, I could write stuff. I do write stuff all the time, and it doesn't come out on the page like I wrote it. Because in my imagination, I'm thinking, wow, that'd be cool, but can I really draw that angle? No.
Right, right.
So it's don't cut yourself. Don't cut yourself short. Writers is very much key, and artists are struggling just as much. I mean, we're like hoping we can make the writer happy a lot of times, or hoping
Right.
we can fulfill that. And some writers, they do the whole Alan Moore treatment. They'll write every angle and pages and pages of description, and then like two lines of dialogue. Or there's other writers that just write dialogue and say, have at it. It's
See,
daytime, that's all you need to know. Daytime, and we're in the stage.
and
It's like,
that might be part of my issue, because I'm not pages and pages and pages of description, but like I have a very specific visual. I do it down to like the panel structure. Like
mm,
there's gonna be 4, 3, and 1, and these
right.
overlap, and then, like I'm very intensive, because I used to, when I was young, before, like I should probably start trying again. I used to draw a lot. Like I actually like would take the like pictures of Dragon Ball Z characters and put them on my wall and just draw them freehand from what I'm seeing, and it'd be
Mm,
pretty good. Can I
mm,
do that still to this day? I don't know, but I doubt it. But it is something to the point where, even if you have the idea, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can actually put it to use. And I
right.
think with this book, with artillery specifically, the idea was a simplistic one, but with a really in-depth way of telling it. Because it's really, when you boil it down, it's AI slash the internet trying to destroy all art, so everyone has to go to it for their art, and to kind of ruins the world. That's like really what it is. But
Yeah,
the way that you told it was, you gave it to us little by little, and I don't know how it would be reading it, in single issue form, because I read it at like a trade. So
right,
it,
right.
it could be a little bit different of a reading experience, but for me, I just felt like it flowed so well, because every time you think you kind of got a handle on what's going on, you add another layer,
Yeah.
and then another layer, and then another, and it's like you got this amazing tapestry, and you're like, oh, wow, that really came together. Because
Mhm.
some books, as I'm sure you know, some books, they have a great concept, great delivery, and then they fumble it somewhere, whether it's like they don't give enough information about the characters where you actually care about them, or they
Mhm.
don't land the plane. There's definitely a lot of books that start off really strong, and then somewhere along the line they just go off the rails. And I
Yeah.
think you did really well with Artillery in keeping that from happening.
Well, thanks. I appreciate those kind words. I mean, it's not. I mean, everyone will have a different experience reading it. I'm glad you had a great experience reading it. I actually did do it as a whole graphic novel. And then it was broken up into issues, but
Okay.
at Invader. So, because I was sick of chasing the monthly deadlines. When I did this, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna draw. I'm just gonna do all 5 issues at once. Just tell this whole story, beginning, middle, end, before I even show it to anybody.
Right.
Like, go to a publisher and say, hey, I got this story, and it's done. There's like no deadlines. There's no, whatever. You can do it however you want to do it, but it's done. But as you said, I told it as one story. I didn't, try to reinvent the wheel every month with, what's going to be the cliffhanger this time,
Right.
or whatever. I scripted it as that's how it was supposed. That's in my mind how it was supposed to be, like a movie, like it was like gonna be done. Like you go in and you see the movie and you walk out.
No, it's funny that like I said, that's how I read it. And it definitely works that way. Not saying it didn't work with as the issue. I just can't speak on that because I didn't read it by issue. But I really thought that there was so much that you did with this book that, and it's 123 pages start to finish,
Right.
and it's so much in those 123 pages, but it didn't feel like a lot. Like some books, you just have to trudge through. You got like the middle parts, all exposition. You got to just work through it because there's going to be a payoff. Your
Mm-hmm.
book through the whole way, I think the pacing is really well done because and I think writing it the way you did and not trying to make it a monthly thing
Right.
was the way to go with this because it was like you say a movie. I could totally, and that's the thing. I could totally see this being adapted. Invader Comics, you better be on the phone with every studio because this would be great. But when you write something in that form and then they break it up, I think for at least and on the consumer aspect, it makes you want to like grab it every single time you see it.
Right.
Versus, I could see like someone buying a trade of this and being like, I'll read this eventually. But if they
Mm-hmm.
grab one issue, they'll get hooked on issue one and then they'll go, I need issue two. And then when
Right.
issue two comes out, they're like, the story's not done. I need issue three. So
Right.
I can also see why you would go with that model as well.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. There's not a thing that Invader does that I haven't been impressed with. So I'm to be clear, I'm not throwing any shade towards Invader's way for making it the episodic version versus the
Oh yeah.
feature length film. Like I thought it was any way to get a story like this out. I'm game.
Good.
Like,
Yeah. I
that's how
agree.
I feel.
Yeah, I agree. Mike's he's I went with Invader. It was weird because I grew up in Oakland, California. Um, 40 years there. I did 40 years there. Mike Invaders, they're based in Oakland, California. The story is based in Oakland, Bay Area, California.
Right.
And it was Cape and Cow Comics that put me and Mike together because it was they have a local show here in California,
Okay.
and Invader Comics was one of the sponsors, and so there's all these Oakland people together. It just seemed like fate. Like, wow, I'm from Oakland, he's from Oakland, the story's in Oakland. It's like, hey, let's do this thing.
I see the dots lining up. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pieces of the puzzle are falling into place. Like
yeah, because honestly, I'd finished this story years ago. I did this whole book, you know, a long time ago. And then I went on to go do another book, whatever. So
Right.
it was literally just sitting here at my house. I mean, original art pages, like a stack of pages just sitting here. And I pitched it, and then I just got busy doing other things. And I'm like, I'll get to that thing. I'll get to that thing. I'll get to that thing. And it just sat here. I mean, people don't realize I had done this. Has it been 5 years? 6 years, and then a year to draw it. Yeah, 6 years then. Yeah, I mean, I had a little jab in there about Trump in the
Mhm.
story. This tiny one little, no, that was his first presidency.
That's funny. Wow.
So I wrote that when he was first president. I didn't even realize, I didn't know he'd become president again.
Right.
I had no idea that 6 years ago that AI would be what it is today.
Right.
So I was just kind of doing this as a kind of it was a nod to art and creativity and a lot of things. It was not particularly aimed at AI as AI, as a model for stealing
Right.
art, anything like that. I just did it because I wanted to have a kind of discussion about the community because the internet itself is a community. I mean,
Right.
we're right now. So
Literally.
and that community is creative in its own right. And I was just wondering, like, wow, I wonder what all the traditional art historians think about the creativity growing online. And that's like that's where the whole thing formed in my head. Like there might be a battle between the two. And that's all I was really thinking of. It wasn't like AI as it is today, generative AI, but it ended up being that way.
That's crazy.
I wish I had bought a lottery ticket instead.
Right. Well, I mean, well, so that's the thing. I mean, when you tell a good story, it somehow down the line has a chance of always coming back around. And I think like when you look at how you told this story, because the AI, it's not like AI is the bad guy. The internet
Right.
was the bad guy. It just used AI chatbots and things like that to speak and to interact and to do everything it was doing.
Hmm.
So and now here we are years later, and we're looking around like, did this guy wait a minute, did he tell the future? Like, is the internet about to like come to life? And if that is the case, internet, I love you. Please don't hurt me.
Yeah.
I really don't want to be killed by something I don't understand. Because as a proud elder millennial, half of the things that the character of the internet was saying in in the book, I'm like, what? Is that English? Like, what is going on here? And
Yeah.
I really liked how you did that. When it's talking, and it threw me off at first because
Right.
you said like I saw the number 2 instead of to, and I was like, what is going on? And I'm like, oh my god, I get it.
Yeah.
It's a chat bot. Oh, okay. And it took me a second. I'm like, why? Because as a creator myself, I'm like, I started trying to overthink it. Like, I wonder why creatively he decided to switch up how he's telling the story and using two and abbreviations. And I'm like, oh god, it's not the whole story. It's this character. You idiot.
Yeah.
Just read
Yeah.
the book. Just read the book. Okay.
It was
I
actually
tried to break it down before before I even got far enough to actually get what was going on.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, you did a lot in this book that really surprised me on a like in a positive way from a creative standpoint. Like
Hmm.
when like one of the opening pages, you get to see literally the Mona Lisa alive,
Yes.
and you're like, wait, huh? Like, and it throws you for that loop, and then you have to know why. And I think a lot of books nowadays don't really do that. They explain it and then show it.
Yeah,
What you kind of did was did the opposite. You kind of just were like, here it is. Sit with that for a second, and then I'll tell you why. And
yeah.
it makes it more of a captivating read, at least in my opinion.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the type of slow reveal I wanted. Again, like I said, I wrote it as one big story, not as a 22 or 26 page or 32 page issue, and then to
Right.
be followed by another one. So yeah, this was my intent, to be a little confusing, but at the same time a little intriguing. So it was just and I if like I said, this was years ago. I would probably write it completely differently today.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
listen, I'm glad you didn't because I like exactly what you put out. It was it's almost prophetic, how we look at things that are happening now.
mhm,
But so what when you were creating these characters, what went into creating this group of characters, which is very diverse and not like just because. And that's
right.
when it comes to diversity. I see a lot of people like instead of writing their story that has diversity, they put diversity into their story.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I like that was not like I said. It felt like this was a story that had diversity in it, had
mhm,
diverse characters, versus a story that was like, all right, we got to put more than one nationality in this. Let's shoehorn something in to make it right. And
right.
what went into making this cast of characters?
Well, a lot of what went into making them was kind of orbiting the type of art they did. Um, Let me see, like there's one of the characters, you might say the main character, the homeless character, the graffiti artist.
Hmm.
They, as an ex skateboarder, the skaters and graffiti community, they kind of hung out together a lot and all that. So it was I kind of had a little insight, but the homeless character, they don't have a voice. They're homeless or whatever. They're almost ignored by society. They're just kind of the silent thing you don't see. So graffiti is larger than life, and it's trying to
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I am here." You're out there on public property, spray painting your name or some piece, or trying to make a statement. That says a lot about the person because they're trying to say, I'm a human being, I exist, don't ignore me. So that's bigger, larger than life. Than the comic book person, which is kind of based on me, really, is somebody who hides behind the work because their job is to put the stories out and not talk about them. Because they're like, yeah, I don't want you to think about me so much. I'm trying to tell a story with the other characters ahead of me.
Right.
And then the special effects, film special effects person is more like the cog in the wheel kind of thing because when you go see a movie and there's special effects in it, there's like a laundry list of people in the credits, like hundreds of people that make it. There's not
Yep.
one person that makes all the special effects in a movie. So there's the person that just does the background or the tin can or the water or whatever, and
Right.
they're the cog in the system, but they're still creative and still good at
Right.
what they do. And so they have a depth of knowledge that isn't seen, as opposed to, like I said, the graffiti artist that's just trying to broadcast out to the world. And that kind of dictated the diversity, who would be where and what nationality and whatnot. I mean, I didn't want to get painting broad strokes, but it just kind of sat with me that I wanted that kind of diversity to kind of mirror, I mean, without saying it out loud, to kind of mirror that character. And yeah, and in the process, I ended up with two people of color, three people of color, really, because you have somebody from Asian descent, you have somebody who's African American, you have somebody who looks like they're biracial or whatever. And
Right.
it's just, and not only that, they're also trans. So, I put them on this, why they were on the street, it was this reason because of their gender identity and all that. So
Hmm.
there was a whole, yeah, I mean, there was a whole range there that I can just keep going on and on and on. and then you find out the person who's a cog in the wheel really has a different passion of art, and that's, you know,
Yep.
tapestry and stuff like that. It's like it's like, you know, hey, I make movies, but my name's not on there, you know.
Right.
You
No, yeah,
know?
that interaction she had with Jimmy, the comic creator in the book, was like, yeah, but your name is right here on the top.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
watch a movie I'm in, there's 100 going light speed per second,
Yeah.
and my name's there, but no one sees it. And
Yeah.
that, as a creator myself, I that it was huge, because I remember, like, I've always loved comic books. I've always been into them, but like, I was one of the first comic book sellers on Whatnot, so they put
Mm.
my handle Nerdtooine on
Mhm.
the back of those Invincible exclusives they did.
Nice.
And I
Nice.
remember thinking, "Yo, my name's on the back of an Invincible, yes!" And then when I started writing my book, I almost instantly sold all of those, because I was like, you know what? I'm about to put my name on the front of the book.
Right.
I
Right.
don't need it on the back. And I
Right.
was like, man, I know if someone hit me with something like that, I'd be like, oh, yeah. You're right. You're right. Fair enough. Fair enough. And when you look at this story in particular, and it's, again, funny that you wrote it so many years ago and it's so poignant nowadays, is a lot of the discriminatory things that happen to a lot of these characters still happens today. Like you're saying, the reason why one of the main characters on the street is because their family basically like disowned them because
Yes.
of how they felt about themselves and their gender identity. That still happens to this day. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like we society fixed that, because it hasn't. You know, and in the climate we're currently in, the marginalized groups are once again kind of being assaulted, for lack of a better word, by certain people in this world,
Right.
in this current climate,
Right.
hinting very hard if people don't understand.
Mhm.
um but and not for nothing, but I didn't throw I didn't do any Trump thing in my book, but issue 2, I do throw like a veiled shot at Pete Hegseth.
Mhm.
um so you know how, like, when he brought all the generals together to talk about like wokeness and being in shape and everything, I
Right.
I use that as a cover up in my book.
Mhm.
So, like, the official story is that they were all brought together to talk about wokeness and getting in shape, and they were like, "There's no way that anyone would have that many generals in one place for something like that. That has to be a cover up. There's no way someone could be that stupid."
Why why are we really here? Yeah, this could have been an email. Why am I really here?
So, and because in my book, the zombie apocalypse, when it first started, was covered up by a lot of people. So, like, that was part of that. And I think, like, man, in 20 years, if someone reads that, are they gonna get that? I don't
Yeah,
know. I didn't flat out say his name, so you know what I mean. Unless you really look in, I
right.
understand what the character's saying. You may not, but like, I still felt like I need to say it. I had to.
Yeah.
Like,
Now you're 100% right. I mean, I live with that every day with the books I've done in the past. You know, if I read them now, they're just full of things of that era.
yeah.
You know, I'm like going, wow, I wonder if people today would get this, you know. And yeah,
What? It's kind of crazy that this book is it, I if you would have asked me how long ago you wrote this, I'd have been like, yeah, it's got to be recent, because this is so poignant to our time. So, that I think speaks a lot to you as a creator, because you a
mm,
lot of times that does not happen. Like you said, you go back and you look at, like if you pick up like Captain America comic from like the 80s
hmm.
or the 70s or 80s, some of the things he was saying, like, it's not acceptable. Like, it's
Yeah,
just not. Like,
yeah,
there's one of my favorite panels of all time to explain that. There's a he says to someone, "You need to get a good dick down by Captain America," and in that time, that was like a scolding.
hmm.
But
Dick down.
now, yes, it sure don't say. It sure sound like he was sexually assaulted that
Yeah,
man right there. But back
wow.
then, that was just the phrase.
Right,
I'm
right.
not excusing it by any means, but it's with something
Yeah.
that in your book, you're looking at it like, wow, this was written years ago, and with the uprising of AI the way it has been over the last few years, it feels like you wrote it because of that. But now it's not that way, and that makes me like it even more because now it's just like, see, like art is imitating real life, but in reverse. Like,
Yeah.
real life
Yeah.
is imitating art now.
Yeah. The only thing like I said, I would rewrite it differently today, and that's mostly because a lot of the internet slang has changed as well. But at the same time, part of me was saying, just make it a period piece. That way, no matter what, that was the
Right,
terminology at the time. Like a Stranger's Thing kind of a thing. It's like, well, that's what they said back then. So this will
right.
never get too old because this is, a particular moment in time.
Well,
But
but I think the way you did it, because it's clear that it's not like, I don't know how to word it. It's not a cohesive thought. Like
right,
it's a program taking different parts. So I think it will. Oh, I think this could stand the test of time. And the fact that they might have new words and new things for some
right.
of the terminology, I don't think it's going to affect it much because in the end, it it could still, like, when you think about it deeper, that could still be something it sees. It just chose not to use it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
yeah.
I think
As I tried to say in the story, the internet is everything from the beginning of the internet. So even old sayings, it retains in its memory, of course.
right.
Because it's everything. It's everything, and now, past, and gonna be in the future. Yeah, the internet is
Mhm.
just is a crazy place as a sentient being. That is.
Especially a sentient being.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what the basis of the book, and I don't want to give too much away because I want people to pick up the trade and read it.
Hmm.
But the basis is that great art are opening are doorways to the idea space, which
Hmm.
is basically like the creative center of the universe, really.
Yeah.
And so, and I have to say, I have this thing as a creator. Sometimes I get really mad at good work or good ideas because I didn't think of it myself. So
Hmm.
when I was reading your book and it got to that the creative the idea space and the
Right.
way you portrayed it with the like almost the waves and how you had to like do which you find out, I'm not gonna say that because that would give a little bit away. How they get into it, it and just that all creativity is connected.
Right.
I was furious. I was like, "Oh, that's such a great idea! Damn it!
Yeah,
Oh, so good!" Like,
I yeah, I like that. Yeah, it was an interesting philosophical kind of discussion I had in my head. Like, why can somebody draw really well? I look up at like somebody like Bernie Wrightson or something. I'm like, dude, I could never draw that well. That guy is really hooked in. And I'm like, hooked into what? And then it
right,
just kind of dawned on me. It's like he's tapping that source more than anyone else is. He's got a wider channel to wherever that creativity comes from. I got a smaller, narrow
right,
one. How can I get my channel to look like Bernie Wrightson or Neil Adams or something? Like, how can I get my
right.
how can I get my work to look that good? And it's just like, man, what are they? And just like, and that's what kind of brought this whole idea to me was, if there's and then I started talking about the different type of spheres in the world, the biosphere, the atmosphere, there's another sphere, and that's the creative sphere, because you know there's life on the planet, but not all of it is creative in a way.
Right, right, right,
So for those who can tap into it, and I like to think that everybody can tap into it. Everybody has tapped into it, just at different levels. So everybody's
right,
a creative in their own way, no matter what they're doing or who they are. It's just some channel it differently and have greater access to it. So that was a fun little couple of pages where I had to get those pages in there
A-
about the
and
idea
and they,
space.
and they are really well drawn.
Thank
When
you.
I'm telling you, like when I look at things, there's a lot of times where I'm just like, I'll read a book and I'm like, man, story's great, art's great, but like there are a lot of books where I stop and take in the page.
Mm, mm,
And that's what I did when like I said, when they first jumped into that space, I'm just like, I'm just staring like, wow. And then I got mad. Then I started yelling because I didn't think of it myself. But it, it's truly, you told a story that has all these different levels to it. And I keep saying that, but it's you look at like because it's the undertones of you can't trust everything you see on the internet, and how and the internet's a scary place and can do
right.
scary things. You
Right.
have this underlying tone of, like you said, the representation of homeless people. They don't get that representation not only in media but in general. A
Right.
lot of times they're the outskirts of society to a lot of people, and like you see people won't even like look at them. They like
Yeah.
just
They're invisible.
walk by
Yeah.
them like they don't even exist. And
Yeah. They're invisible.
there's you did such a good job of portraying that, because you like there were a couple parts where they kind of he they kind of like said like, I have nothing because I'm homeless. And then the other characters were like, well, hold on. That's just because you don't have a home doesn't mean you're worthless. It
Right.
doesn't mean you don't have something to give. You are doing this to try to save someone you love. Or at that point, I think there's just care about, even though we knew it was more than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but like you're acting as selfless as possible,
Hmm.
when a lot of times if you think this person who has nothing has a reason to be selfish for their own survival's sake.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then this
Yeah.
character, on the other hand, is like, no, I saw the light leave her eyes. I
Yeah.
saw that connection, that I saw it disappear. I will do whatever I have to do to take it to get that back. And if that means my demise, so be it.
Right.
There, and that you gave a voice to, and also that the characters also, like you said, is trans, and they're non-binary. There's a lot of representation happening here, not for the sake of it, but
Mm,
it explains it.
yeah. Yeah.
You're
And I
like,
didn't.
oh, okay, this makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't want to get too much into titles or actual, whatever. I just kind of left it, open like that. So it was, and I spent a little time on it, but I didn't go. I really wanted to spend more time on other things, and I didn't. I wish I had spent more time writing other segments of the story, really diving. But I thought I might bore people if I did too much of this or too much of that, and so I just tried to get to the pith of the story.
Mm.
Uh, you know, I tried to balance it all, and yeah, I might have shortchanged a couple of characters because I had other stuff written, and I said, "Nah, I'm cutting all that
Right.
out." You as a writer,
I absolutely no, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't understand what that's like. Like, as
Yeah,
you have this much larger story you want to tell, and then you realize you're like, you know what? I find this interesting, but others might not. That's not necessary. Let me take this out. This isn't
right,
necessary. Let me take that out. And
right,
while those could be great, it's not necessary. And a lot of
right.
times, especially with in the age we're living in, where attention span a goldfish has more, like, we have to we can't always tell the story we want to tell versus the story that we need to tell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah. As a writer, you should know. I mean, it's cutting stuff out hurts sometimes. It's like cutting off a finger. It's like
Yeah,
I got a whole story here. Oh man, I gotta get rid of that part.
man, but I only have 4 finger slots. Dang it! No,
Yeah.
I
So
I get
yeah.
that. And well, and so do you think that you'll ever come back to this story at all? Because you did, like, you introduce a character, the manga character,
Right.
and then which was awesome. That whole scene, like the way first he's all bloody, then he tells a story about it. You're like, oh, again, telling to the where instead of you see the fight first and then he shows up. Like that's how a lot of people will tell that these days, because they want to get you the action first before they put the suspense, you know, the other stuff. And instead you had the suspense, like, oh my God, who did this? And he's just like, manga. Okay, elaborate, bro. Like you can't just say one word and expect us to understand. Like that character got very little screen. I call it screen time, even though it was in the book. Like you could, and you also mentioned that there are other magical artists around. Do you ever think that you'll hop back into this universe and tell another story?
I wasn't thinking about it. I gotta admit, I kind of, like I said, it was that I wasn't thinking of a sequel for this. I was not. It'd be nice, but I have so many other. You know, you're right. I keep saying that. You have 100 ideas, 100 stories you want to tell. You don't have time to tell them all.
True.
It would be nice to go back, go deeper, not go back, but go deeper into the wider realm of art magic. You know, and have other things. I mean, I had one of the early, like, let's see, when I first was forming the story, maybe 7 years ago or whatever, so, you know, some of the first ideas I had was a war amongst the artists, you know, the fine arts versus the new arts, you know, and then I was like, nah, I don't need the artists to fight amongst themselves. You know, that stuff, you know, but that was exploring the wider world, like you're talking about, of other art magicians around the world. You know, there would be all the manga artists and the European artists and the African, you know, artists and, you know, South American artists. There's like all these different art styles and traditions that come alive, literally, that could come alive. And it was a great idea, but I decided to tell this particular one instead. And it'd be nice to go back to it. You know what? I would write it and somebody else could draw it. or you know, it's one of those things where if it was a Netflix series or something, they can delve into the other aspect of that happens so often. You know, just the two words "based on." It's not a direct translation of, but it's based on this story, and that means they could go wherever they want. And I did leave the door slightly open, but yeah, I wasn't thinking about diving more in.
All I'm gonna say is that start writing it now, and then put it on the shelf for about 6 to 8 years, and then. And then by then, whatever you wrote in the second one will be already happening. and that could be just how you do things.
Maybe.
But I definitely, there is room for, you know, to add to the lore of it. I do really think, I mean, you could even do like a one shot of manga.
Yeah. I mean,
that is the one that my one complaint is I want more of that character, and not because of the gooning, just because of how that character was done. Because especially even when the magic, the art magician walked in, the way you had it paneled with like the blacked out face, and I'm like, ooh, I want more of this character. Like that's I don't have much negative. That's not even really negative. It's more of just a pet peeve, because it was so it executed that so well. And then you took him away. I'm like, but okay, just keep reading.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I wanted to. I like I said, you know, I had to lose a couple of fingers.
Yep.
You know, I'd love to get into all the different artists around the world and the different cultures and what, like, you know, like the comic book guy said to the manga guy, he's like, you know, of all the characters in manga, you chose this, you know.
Right.
You know, it's like there's so much in manga that I mean, there's so many different genres.
You could have done a Gundam suit, you could have done a Dragon Ball Z kind of person, but exactly. No, this is the route you go. And that did come full circle though when he drew his character to help them in their mission. And I'm just like, and I love that they were called out on that. They're like, you know, you said a lot about the manga character, but what you got there, buddy? He's like,
Exactly.
oh, let's talk about that later. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
that is perfect. Like that is so
True.
so comic books right there. Because at one second though, you'll be like, man, I hate when they monologue and have a whole page full of dialogue, and then someone executes that flawlessly, and you're like, now that was a good use of an entire page, and you're like, 2 seconds ago you were complaining about that, but
Exactly.
now it's fine here. Like
Yeah.
that's you were able to capture these different art forms and really like these characters felt like your cousin, your coworker, like or someone you know that it is working in these fields. Like didn't they same seemed like really organic and like actual lived in people. They had real desires, real goals, like and not to give, well, I'll have a little spoiler section in a second because I definitely want to talk about that the last couple pages or so really really did me in. But like they all like even you have the one character, she's sci-fi, but she really special effects, but she really likes textiles, and then she
Yes.
nerds out and like has this like full on like nerdgasm
Yeah.
about textiles, and you're like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's real. That's real.
Yeah.
And then that is a thing that I see a lot in normal interactions, but not
Mhm.
so much in entertainment. Like there are characters that do that here and there, but you don't get usually they're tied to like some kind of mental disorder or something along those lines, and that's not what you did here. That was a regular person with no like that just had a nerdgasm. They just nerded out about something they really cared about, and it wasn't like, oh, it's because of their OCD, because of their
Right.
they're on the spectrum. It wasn't because something like that, which you see as a crutch a lot in entertainment when you need to have a character do something like that. It's like, oh, well, just have the weird guy in the corner. We'll just say he has Asperger's. It's fine. And then it's like, oh, well, that's why he did it. No, because they genuinely had something they wanted to say. Like, come on. And I like again, did that so well in here. Every
Thank
character
you.
always seemed to say what they needed to say, and not because they were supposed to say it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and that was a finger I was almost gonna lose was the whole, textiles thing.
Oh,
But I felt it was important that she have a passion beyond because some creators are just doing it for a paycheck. They're
yeah,
good, they're creative, they draw or they paint or whatever. And for some of them, it's a curse. It's like, yeah, I can paint. Okay, okay, I'll paint this mural. But they really
right.
have something else they want to do in life, kind of a thing. And so the special effects person, I wanted her to have a real passion about something, not necessarily what you do for a living. Because a lot of us are like that. We have a day job or something like that, and you have a real passion on the side. And so I wanted to have her explore that. And you're right, not all forms of media go into that direction where they just, have some character talk about something or, away from the story. Um, but I kind of wanted her to, well, for one thing, I just didn't want my story to be 100% all dialogue serves the plot. I wanted people to talk like people. Not everything you say is about how we're going to save the world. There's, the whole
Yes.
day. Yeah, you're just talking to people and you talk about all kinds of things. You go off the rails and you talk about politics, the weather, the sports, anything, things come up. And I just wanted to kind of embrace that a little bit, that these were just people, you know, hanging
No,
out.
you definitely nailed that, and and like you said, that doesn't happen a lot. A lot of times, and there's a reason for it. We're not necessarily even knocking people. There's limited space
Right.
and real
Oh,
estate
yeah.
that you have to tell these stories. So trust
100%.
me, we get that. But
100%. Yeah.
at the same time, sometimes when you're trying to tell a story about people, there have to have some real interactions that are not just specifically for pushing the story, because then
Right.
it seems like that's what they're doing, which is in effect what they are doing. But a lot of times Like at least me, when I read a book, I want the book to feel real, even if there's magic art, even
Right.
if it's in a zombie apocalypse, even if it's on a some distant moon. Does that moon have gravity? Then yes. If that moon has gravity, then they should have the ability to walk on the planet. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like simple stuff like that. That sometimes you have to have a real conversation with these characters. You have to make them have a real conversation to where it's not like everything I read is, well, we have to go find the bad guy because
Right.
of this. And okay, let's go.
Yeah.
No one
Yeah.
talks like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
did a really great job with that in here. And so I definitely want to get a little spoiler territory. So this is your spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
So if you're still here, you've been warned. Spoilers are coming. Holy crap. And we talked about this before we started. That
Hmm.
last page broke me to my core. There's not often where comics make me cry. That ending was so beautiful because what happens, and like I said, this is spoiler section. Please go buy the trade that is our back to Kickstarter that's now on. It's now live. Still time to back it and get your copy. They have exclusive covers in the Kickstarter, so
Yeah.
definitely want to try to get those because those are the harder to come by stuff later on down the road when this gets made into a movie and everyone's rushing to try to find it. Um, but the heroes saved the day, but not all the heroes made it.
Right.
The comic book creator Jimmie, he sacrificed himself to open up another doorway. And because he was a comic creator who had prints of his book throughout the world, every time someone opens one of those books, there a new, and correct if I'm wrong, a new portal to the creative space was opened, which
Yes.
strengthened it.
Yes. As opposed to
Okay.
having the Mona Lisa and that is it.
Right. I'm glad I got that right because I was
Yeah.
as I'm saying it, I
Yeah.
was like, what if I'm wrong? Like,
No. That's roughly it. Yeah. I mean,
but
that's
so the
yeah.
character sacrifices himself, and initially I think, okay, wow, I get it. What a sacrifice! Awesome. Thank you for your service. Like, it was great. And then we go a little bit further, and it's a year later, and we have these people. They're all together. You've got um, the person with the spray paint with his significant other about to get married. You've got the who's now working in textiles. Awesome,
Yeah.
good for her.
Yeah.
She's also pregnant. And they're all talking. They're in a hospital. I'm like, what are they doing in the hospital? And
Mhm.
then I get it because what they're doing is the character, he didn't die. He just went into a coma. So
Right.
what they do every year to celebrate not only them saving the freaking world, but also to celebrate him on his birthday, they go open up a portal into the space where he is now there with all of these great creatives from all across time. And he literally, when I read "Go Get Your Friends," and I literally, that's when my eyes just erupted. I was like, oh god, he got me. Oh, that was so cute. Oh my god. Oh, that's not fair. And
Yeah.
like that was just so beautifully done.
Thanks.
And I gotta commend you because especially because not only did you write it, you also drew it. Like I could write something like that, but I don't think I could ever bring it to life in the manner in which you did. It was, not often do I look at a ending of a book and go, "Wow, that was absolutely just I the entire range of emotions that you could experience." You had, the initial hype about this magic, and then you have this sadness because characters and people across the world losing their creativity. Then you've got this awesome action when you're fighting the internet, like and then you have like the color changing palette when the
Yeah.
color was literally leaving the world, and
Yes.
then it's all of this like eh, all of these different emotions crammed into this 123 page graphic novel, and then to end it with like this all these great creatures, all these great characters throughout history who have been amazing artists, and they're there. We're ready. We're here. Happy birthday! And it's like oh my god, like. And I understand. I mean, you technically left it a little bit open there, like you said, because they can go back to this, they can connect to this plane of existence.
Right.
So there's always a way, you know, to expand the
Right.
story. But like, I understand why you never thought about going back, because you, this is the 10 out of 10 gymnastics, landing it with no stumble.
Oh,
Like,
I see. Stick. Yeah.
you stuck that landing so well that like I get why you never thought to go back, and not saying you have to go back, because this is brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Thank you. It was it was an ending I did stick with from the beginning. Yeah, I kind of was going. The only thing I really, since we're in spoiler zone, I guess the only thing I really wrestled with was the Elon Musk thing.
Yeah.
I didn't really want it to be.
I love how you fixed it though.
Yeah.
Because the fact that he was there, and then so to explain a little bit, there in the early parts of the book, this character, it's not literally Elon Musk, but you know,
Yeah.
it initially looks like he's the bad guy because he's pushing all the AI, he's doing all this stuff, and then he gets drawn into the creative space and they free him and free like his soul, and they're like, oh, in here you're a good guy? What, like with the
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Because in the creative space, because if you like think about him as a person, if you strip away all the ego and all of the, you know, curtailing to certain people, at his core there could be someone really good in there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because I mean, on the surface, making electric cars is a good thing. He didn't really execute it very well, and it's creating an issue. Right. Going to space again could be a good thing, not really working out the way we want it to. You know, there's a lot of things. Buying a social media company to make it free speech again didn't really work out the way we wanted it to. But like, I did like how you did that, because now, and also, let's reframe this as when you wrote it. He wasn't as crazy back then. Like,
right.
Back then he was in Iron Man and shit. You know what I mean? like he was just that cool rich guy back then. You know what I mean? Like, right. But I do like how it comes full circle, and you look at it and you're like, okay, if it's just him at his core and not all the bad stuff, okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I can see how here he could be a good person. You know what I mean? And, like I said, I understand where you're coming from, because I'm reading it too. I'm like, damn, Elon, what, really? Okay, here we go. Let's see what we do. But again, it came full circle to where you have, like, the exact quote was, wait, so inside this realm, you're actually the good guy? That's so weird. Yeah, but you know what? I could see that. That's what made sense to me as I read it. I was like, oh, you know what? If he wasn't crazy, he actually probably would be. Okay, all right. That works. Okay. But again, that's, you know what? That's, out of everything else, that's the only thing that really sticks out as it being of when you wrote it. Like, that is the only thing that didn't age like fine wine, like everything else will.
Yeah, I needed a human vessel to, you know, like, whatever. I needed the internet to have a human vessel, and that's as a kind of a focal point or whatever, because the internet's just everywhere. So I needed it to all join onto something, and that was this character, and then it's, you know, then it has focus. But you know, that was the only thing I really wrestled with. But the ending, like you were saying before, was something I already knew. I had already embellished on. I didn't really rewrite it. It was gonna be how it was gonna be. The other thing I wanted to do was the color palette more. I wanted to go straight to black and white. I went down to two colors, but I should have went all the way to just black and white. But somewhere in my mind, I'm thinking, well, black and white would mean a complete defeat.
Mm.
So at least I'd have, you know, this yellow, blue, or whatever. I don't know, whatever it is, but yeah, I wanted
Well, I don't see. To me, when I saw it, black and white to me, and especially from when you're going from full color to black and white, that is more like it changes the perspective. It makes it feel almost maybe like a memory or a
Mm,
flashback or something like that. With
mm,
this color palette that you used, it was clear to me that the color was leaving.
yeah,
So I think you made the right call actually in not going the full black and white, because I know me, I probably would have figured it out, but like
right,
initially I'd have been like, why is it black and white? Is this a flashback? Is it a memory? Oh no. Okay, the color's leaving the world. Okay. Like, you
yeah,
know what I mean? But like when you went to that gray, brownish almost, but still you had like the internet was popping in talking and they're full color and they have
right,
even their text bubbles colored. You know, it's
right,
like, oh wow, okay. Like it
right,
really drove the point home. So I think hindsight's always 2020. And as a creative, you're always like, I could have done this better. I could have done that
right,
better. I don't know. I think you can hit that one out of the park. Like,
right, yeah,
I really do. Because I didn't even think about it going black and white. And then now just say I'm looking back at the panels. I'm like, I think you would have lost something. Because
maybe, yeah. I mean that was one of those fingers I cut off, you know. So it was I was wrestling with, you know, how far should I show the world going downhill, you know, before I could reverse it, kind of a thing. And I opted not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but
well,
uh,
and I think that was a smart choice only because like, and especially like I'm telling a zombie apocalypse story, and I'm doing the same thing, trying to think how much information do I give? Do they need
mhm,
this information now?
mhm,
Should I show the fall more? Should I give that more context? And I'm like, this is the story we're telling now,
right, right,
not what made this story happen. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
again, and we're never satisfied. We're always gonna be like, oh, I know I could have done better.
right,
Or
right.
this sucks, even when it's awesome. That is how all creatives are. I'm learning that. I thought it was just me, so I'm very happy to learn that it's all of us.
It should
None
be.
of us are ever like, I nailed that. Like we have to have someone tell us we hit it. Because that's what I do that with my co-host. Anytime I get like pages before I even like think that they're done, I send it to him first. I'm like, what do you think? Am I right about this? Is this good? Is there anything I'm missing? And a lot of times it's like, wow, no, this is really good. And the other times it's like, yeah, I think you need to fix this. Like, okay, good. So that's not just me. All right, it's not
Right.
perfect. Awesome.
Oh yeah, it's
But yeah,
never going to be perfect. Yeah, it'll never be perfect. So yeah, there's no such thing. So I had the ending, but you know, getting to that ending, you know, was just hills and valleys, and there's a lot of things I would change. So you know,
right.
I look at the art and I go like, oh my god, it's horrible. You know, the other people say it's okay or whatever, or somebody says, yeah, you can work on this or whatever. It's never going to be perfect. So, or the writing, you know, whatnot. I had a friend who they're a New York best time seller, you know, author, and they were like, you know what, you should do this part. I'm not connecting with this part and that part. And I'm like, oh wow, you're right. I didn't even write that in. You're right. I should fucking, as a writer, I should have known that. I should have known better. So, you know, yeah, it's never going to be perfect. You're 100% right. And editing is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only the actual editing it in itself, like the actual task of editing, but
Hmm.
the after effect. Like I said, the fingers you had to cut off to
Yeah.
make that work.
That's what I mean.
I,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I mean, I'm taking a step further. Like the editing itself is actually a daunting task just by itself, not even for the after effects. Just the fact that you have to go in, cut this, figure out how to make because when you're not just cutting out one thing and it works. So a lot of times you have to figure out how to make everything come back together, because you initially told this story and now it's gone. You got to bring it back together. It's a lot, and more power to you for being able to do it from start to finish. And when people say, "Oh, you could have done this, you could have done that," actually, you know what? He did exactly what he needed to do. Okay,
at the time.
When people like I listen, I'm big on criticism. I take it very well. I want people to tell me if there's something wrong, so in the future I can fix it, or so at least I know what other people think about it at the very least, But that kind of criticism where it's like, oh, you could have done better art, or oh, you could have switched this up a little bit. It's like, yeah, but is it still awesome? What does it fucking matter? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? So I'm sorry, it's only an 8.5 out of 10 and not a 25 out of 10.
Right. Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. It's art is subjective, and there is no right way of writing. There's no right way of art drawing or coloring. There is no right way. So it's like early on in this interview, you said, "Hey, this," and I said, "I'm glad you read it that way." You liked it, because I'm sure there's going to be other people who read it and they're not going to connect like you have, or somebody else might have a different type of connection to it. And I can't. As a writer, you cannot control what people think of your work. How they're going to absorb it. How they're going to absorb it is not up to you. So that's why I was like, hey, I'm glad you. I appreciate that you got it that way. That's great. I hope more people are like you.
Right. Speaking of, I will
be like that. Yeah. I mean, because I've done stuff in the past where like books that are has a lot of heavy on the sarcasm, and there's some people that get it, and there's some people that don't, because it's sarcasm. And sarcasm, if it's not too on the head, not too obvious, some people it goes right over their head.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's not my job to explain what they should have read into it. If they didn't want to read, if they're not reading it like that, they didn't let them read it how they want to read it. So there's so much I'd love to have written in artillery, but like you were saying, I gotta tell the story. I gotta finish this and get on to the next thing. So
exactly,
which I did.
well. So speaking of, like I said earlier in the interview, Artillery, the full story is now going to be available in the trade form. It is currently on Kickstarter, as well as you can order it from your local comic book shop as well. If you, for some reason, don't listen to me, like, I don't know why at this point you wouldn't, but if you don't listen to me and come back to Kickstarter, you can always still get it through your local comic shop. You just got to let them know it's in the Lunar catalog. You just got to tell them, hey, I want Artillery. I want you to get that. It's from Invader Comics. And again, shout out to Invader Comics. Every time I review or talk about anything they do, I keep saying them existing is such a huge thing for the comic book community, because they are telling some of the most entertaining stories out there, and a lot of people wouldn't know The Digger, wouldn't know Do Not Disturb, wouldn't know Artillery, because they probably wouldn't exist. So shout out to Invader. You guys are doing absolutely amazing work. Keep it up. We'll always have the support of Planet Nerdtooine. We love you guys here, and I am speaking for both me and Yer, because Yer would say the same thing if he was here. But on that note, do you have any other projects or anything else you want to hype up or promote while we're here?
Well, I'm doing the same thing with a new series. I won't call it series, but it's a new story where I'm just drawing the entire thing before putting it out. That's what I'm in the works with right now. For some reason, at this point in my career, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do graphic novels. I'm just, I'm going to start them as graphic novels and throw them out there, and whatever somebody does with it is up to them. But I'm just making graphic novels at this point. And the thing I'm working now. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say in this day and age, it's a smart move because a lot of publishers, they don't want ongoing stories. They want either miniseries
Right.
or graphic novels because they can
Yeah.
commit, get it done, get it printed, and start selling it. They don't want to commit to long-term storytelling. So that's definitely a good idea to go that route.
Yeah,
for
long term is getting harder to do. Yeah, I mean, there's so many books out every week. There's new books out, so it's just hard to stay above the noise and all that. I'm trying to do something different again, trying to do something different. So I'm trying to supernatural romance this time. So it's kind of kind of odd, this thing.
Well, hey, you said 2 words and you already got my attention. So if as from one creator to another, if you ever want to, bounce anything off, you want a second set of eyes or perspective, please, I'd be happy to take a look and obviously not say anything about it because that's a big part.
Right.
But yeah, I heard supernatural and romance. I'm in.
Yeah,
I don't need much.
Yeah, I'm trying it. So I wanted to give that genre kind of a spin, see where it goes. So I've already written the whole thing. I have gotten 4 issues done. I think I'm on issue 4. I'm starting to color it now. But I need to go back and finish. I want to get to the finishing point. Yeah. I did. Yeah, the whole thing's written. I just need to finish all the art and stuff. But I'm starting to second guess myself, which, all us creatives do. Is this something that's going to work or whatever? I don't know if you want to interact, whatever. You got to second guess yourself.
I was literally going to say, I think if you're not second guessing yourself, you're not telling a full story. You're not telling the true story.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
You're watering it down for something, for one reason or the other, to appeal or to not appeal. There's, when you look at, especially and that shows how critical you're thinking about it, and you're not just making something for the sake of making it, because you're actually looking at it like in depth, like, is this going to work? Not, oh, well, if it doesn't work, like a lot of, Marvel and DC books. Just saying. There's been a lot of pretty bad Spider-Man runs. All I'm gonna say. A lot of those figures should have been chopped off and not put in. I'm just gonna throw that out there, and I'm gonna get so much hate for that. But I don't care.
No, we don't want to. No hate. We don't want to hate. This is your opinion. That's fine. You can have an opinion.
Wait, are you sure you know anything about the internet?
This is true. Yeah.
You're not have opinions on here. What do you mean? How dare you?
Yeah, the internet is nothing but opinion. This is very true. So, yeah, you gotta have a thicker skin, and as a creative, you gotta have a thicker skin, and just put your work out there. Have some faith behind it. I mean, of course, you'll second guess it, but if it gets out there, that's the point. So you can always, so the point is to get it out there and hope you connect with somebody, a reader or the audience, or somebody in the community. I mean, you're doing zombie stuff, and so I love apocalyptic horror and all that stuff, and zombies. I mean, I devour those things all the time.
Hey, I'll send you over the first 2 issues so you can take a gander if you like.
Cool.
So my issue 2 is in pre-launch. It's going to launch July 1st. I have a Florida SuperCon exclusive for issue 2.
Wow.
They are already in. Hold on, I can even show you. Look at this bad boy.
Wow, look at that. Oh, I love it. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah,
nice.
One of the co-owners of the 305 Miami Comics, she's also an artist, and she did that. We actually came up with that design on the floor of MegaCon this year. Like, I was literally, like, I was at MegaCon. I had a Jamie Tyndall exclusive. I was on the eBay live stage on the floor selling the, a whole bunch of Jamie Tyndall stuff, but also the Here Walks Monsters books. And then I was like, wait a minute. Oh, second we got done, I ran right to her and I was like, I have an idea. I was like, you guys gonna be at SuperCon? Yes. Miami? Yes. Oh, and I just started talking, and like she literally sketched a rough sketch on like a back of one of their flyers, and I was like,
Ah,
yes,
nice,
that. And,
nice,
she, and then
nice.
she comes back with that, and I'm just like, oh my god, that's so beautiful. Whoa, this is gonna be awesome.
Wow.
But yeah, it's people don't. A lot of people can't do it, obviously, but there's a lot of people I think who could get into comics and do stuff like that just don't ever try. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad that you will continue to work. And I'm glad there's people like Invader who will keep putting out great content, because these books are so good and they deserve to be on the shelves next to the Marvels, the DCs, the Image, all of that. It's I can't say enough about Invader, and all the books that they've sent us so far that I've read have been top notch, including Artillery, like I said, which again is on Kickstarter right now with an exclusive cover for the trade. Get it from as a trade. I don't normally say this, but I pretty much will almost 100% guarantee you'll love it, unless you're weird.
A lot
Which
of
is
weird
nothing wrong with that. I'm weird, so don't get me. I'm just saying. I think there's a lot in this book that's very poignant to our time, and it brings up a lot of questions. Like, and I like to, again, how you had a spray painter, someone who did digital art, someone did comic book art. These are all forms of art.
Right,
Period. And
right,
stop. That is the end of the statement. They are all forms of art.
right.
So it however you do art, keep doing it, because I think more people. I think we need that in the world right now,
Yeah.
more so than a lot of things. We need people who are doing great art, great work, and putting it out there, because that's like before we go, I would say like Neil deGrasse Tyson says, science is one thing. You can prove science. I can do an experiment and then I can give that experiment to someone else and they can do it and get the exact same results.
Mm-hmm.
No one else could make artillery, period.
Mm.
So your art is more important than science,
Well,
because the universe, we need that. I
there is
know
no
I'm paraphrasing his words, and
yeah,
it's one of the few Twitter beefs I wouldn't mind having, just because it's Neil deGrasse Tyson. But
yeah.
please don't come for me.
He's
I
a
was
good
just
guy.
using your spirit more so than your actual words.
Yes. Yeah, in spirit, I like that. I like that a lot. But yeah.
But again, thank you so much for stopping by, Jimmy. Anytime you have new work, please send it our way. We'd be glad to have you on. And yeah, do you have any parting words?
Uh, check out Artillery. Check out Invader Comics, and there's a lot of publishers like Invader out there putting
Yep.
out books. That are making the rounds. I mean, there's some really good stuff out there. But yeah, parting words. I thank you. Thank you for letting me be on this show. And I mean, this is just really cool. And I haven't done that many interviews yet, but I think this is this was really fun. And I appreciate it. And please support comics and your local retailer.
Yep.
It's go to a show and join the community, the comics community. No matter what you do, cosplay or read comics or make comics or whatever you're doing, just come and have some fun, enjoy life, and
Yeah.
see what's going on in comics.
And absolutely, and definitely do your best to support indie comics more than anything, in my opinion. You can read your Marvel and your DC. That's great. We
Please.
enjoy it. Please do. But
Mm-hmm.
your dollar goes so much further for indie comics,
Right.
because they, for one, don't have this big structure of business that they've had for the past 50 plus years, where they can put out bad books, and not saying all of them are bad, but where they can put
Right.
out bad books and they can just, cut it, start over, and try again. Indie
Right.
titles don't have that luxury in most cases. If you have a bad issue 1, you're probably not getting another issue 2. Period.
Right.
So
Right.
if you
Yeah.
want to have your money really impact the lives of creators, go support indie comics, because that's where the most bang for your buck will be in terms of pushing power for that creator and that title.
Yep, very much so. Very much so. Yeah, I like that. That's well said. Yeah, it does go. It goes farther with independent.
Well, thank you. I like that. You like that. I like that.
Oh my God.
But on that note, until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.
It's nerdy.